everybody, welcome back to Dans'Atout's YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue learning about tips and tricks for dance show and dance competition makeup, and today I'm going to teach you how to contour, how to use blush, highlight, and bronzer. So keep on watching. So the first thing that we're going to be learning to do in this episode is how to contour your face. We have to keep in mind that contouring your face in everyday life and contouring for stage makeup is completely different. With all the bright lights on your skin, you're going to be very washed out, so you want to have a more sharp line on your face. So what I'm going to be using today for that is the Makeup Forever Sculpting Kit. This is in the shade 2, and I'm going to be using this shade right here, which is the dark brown shade. It's more of a cool tone brown, which is what you want for your contour because you want it to look like a shadow more than a sun-kissed look. So I'm going to be taking an angled brush, and I'm just going to be putting a little bit on my brush like this, and I'm going to tap off the excess because you don't want to have too much come on your skin. You rather work your way up. So I'm going to put my hair behind my ears, and I'm going to suck my face in like a fish. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to apply it right under my cheekbone. You don't want to go too low because then you'll look very muddy at the bottom of your face. You want to keep it quite high, right under where your cheekbone is. A good trick is to suck your face in like a fish and feel where the bone starts. So mine starts about here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to contour right along that bone, not going too low. I just want to create a shadow. As you can see, I didn't put too much product there because I don't want to put a lot all at once, because then if you make a mistake, you can't take it off. So you want to work your way up. You're just going to be putting a little bit at a time, and I'm going to be blending that in as much as I can. We don't want any harsh lines on our skin. We want it to look natural but still there. The next product I'm going to be taking is the Hoola Benefit Bronzer. So this is a bronzer, but it could be used as a contour shade as well. And I'm going to be taking a brush that looks like this. It's kind of a flat brush, and it's really great for getting under that cheekbone. So I'm going to be putting a little bit of this on my brush, and I'm going to be going underneath my cheekbone and really carving out my cheek. I'm going to go back in with that angled brush, and I'm just going to blend both bronzers together. Don't be afraid to keep going back in and adding more product every now and then. Like I said, you want to build it. You don't want to put too much all at once. So a little bit at a time is the best way to go. Once you're happy with your contour, you can start bronzing. So I'm actually going to be using the same bronzer that we used for the contour, the Hoola bronzer, and I'm going to be taking this now on a bigger brush, one that looks like this, and I'm just going to be applying that a little bit higher from where we put the contour. So now we put the contour right under our cheekbone. I'm going to put this almost at the back of my cheek. We really want to warm up the face and make sure that we have like a nice tan. Now for the rest of the face, the common misconception that I see with bronzer is that people just put it all over their face because they want to look tan, and that's not the idea. The idea is to put the bronzer where the sun would naturally hit your skin. So that would be along the contours of your face. So kind of along your forehead, down the side of your cheek, and under your jaw. That's where the shadows would naturally hit. So it's kind of like you're going in a number 3. So I'm going to start from the top over here. I'm going to apply some bronzer on this side. I'm going to start going lower down my face, down into my cheek, and then complete the number 3 by going under my jaw. So again, I'm going on my forehead, bringing it down along my cheek, and then right under my jaw. Don't be afraid to bring it down your neck as well. Make sure that everything is nice and blended together. You want to look one color, not 1,000. And as you can see, I'm not just making the 3 and moving on. I'm really going back into every area that I applied that bronzer, and I'm blending it all together. We don't want any lines on our face. We don't want anything that looks extremely unnatural. We just want to have some nice color on our face so that when we're on stage, we look glowy and not one flat color. I like to use a few different colors of bronzer, so I'm going to go in with a different one now. This one is from Kiko Milano. It's pretty empty. I've used a lot of it. So I'm gonna go in with that same brush. This one's a different shade of bronzer. It's more of like an orangey tan color, so it'll make you look more sun-kissed than contoured. And this one I like to use just to kind of warm everything up after I'm done contouring my face. So I'm gonna go in, same kind of idea as before, create that number 3. If you see any areas that look like there's a harsh line, don't be afraid to go back in and blend it out. Just make sure that there's no harsh lines anywhere. To contour your nose, it's definitely not a necessity, and I don't even do it that often, but if you would like to, a simple contour would just to be taking some of the bronzer at the bottom of your nose like this, and then you can bring it up along the 2 sides of your nose, not too far apart, because that'll just make your nose look wider. You want to make it look thinner. So you can bring the contour up on the sides of your nose and just kind of keep them pretty close together. Again, less is more for this. You don't want 2 brown lines on your nose. You want just a little bit of a shadow. So you want to take just a little bit of product at a time and work it in as much as you can. If you feel like there are any mistakes, go in with a bigger brush. You can kind of just brush it off. So now that your contour is done, you want to check the sides of your cheek to make sure that they didn't go too low. The whole point of contour is to lift up your cheekbones, and if you brought your product down too low, that's going to give it an opposite effect. So what you can do to correct that is go in with that translucent powder. This is the Laura Mercier translucent powder. And you can take a beauty sponge and just grab some onto your sponge and create a line with your powder to the height that you would want your contour to be. So I can just correct it in that sense. I'm gonna put some powder underneath and I'm just gonna heighten where the contour is. This is more of a corrective step. It doesn't need to be done every time. Just if you kind of find that the contour came a bit too low, this is a good way to correct it without having to redo your whole makeup. I would say to leave that on for about 2 to 5 minutes, and when you think you're done, you can take a tapered brush and just kind of wipe it off in circular motions. So I would recommend leaving your bake on for about 2 to 5 minutes before brushing it off, just so that it has time to stay and brighten where you put it, rather than just putting a powder on and wiping it off. It would have no effect. Right now, I'm just going to be taking a big brush and I'm just going to be going over all the contour and bronzer that we did, just again to make sure that there are no harsh lines and that everything blends seamlessly. Moving on to blush, I have 2 blushes that I'm going to be using today. Blush is actually the first thing to fade off in your makeup, so more is more in this situation. You want to kind of pack on the blush because by the time you get on stage, it might not be as intense as it was when you first put it on. So the first blush I'm going to be going in with is the Tarte blush in the shade Party. And I'm going to be just taking a regular brush that just looks like this, kind of a rounded brush. And I'm going to swirl it into the blush, tap off the excess. And I'm going to smile and I'm going to just put it on where the highest point of my cheekbones are. So you're going to put it on the apples of your cheeks and you're going to blend it back. Like I said, for blush, more is more, so don't be afraid to go crazy. This is really going to make you look alive on stage where all the lights are there to kind of wash you out. The blush will make you look more alive again. I'm now going to grab the Kylie Jenner Cosmetics blush in the shade Baddie on the Block. And I'm going to just take a little bit of this and just mix it in with the Tarte blush that we just put on, just kind of to give it a nice, intense color. Now you might be looking at yourself thinking that you look crazy with all this blush, but it really does fade fast, so the more the better, because by the time you get on stage, it's not gonna look as intense. What I like to do next is I'm gonna go in with a setting spray. This is just kind of, again, to melt all the powders together. So this is the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of this on my face. Now for highlight. While your skin is still wet after the setting spray, this is the best time to put a highlight because it's gonna make it pop more. When you're on stage, you wanna have that nice glowy look, that nice highlighted look. So having a wet setting mist on your face is gonna make the powder pop more. So I'm gonna go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter. This is the collab with Amrezy. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this on an Anastasia highlighting brush. I'm gonna swirl it around in my compact, tap off the excess, and you're gonna apply the highlighter on the highest point of your cheek. So you don't wanna apply this everywhere, you just wanna apply it where your cheekbone is the highest. That's where the sun would naturally hit your skin and make you look glowy. So we're gonna do that on both sides. This is a great highlighter for all skin types, so anybody can really use this and it's gonna look beautiful. It's a really pretty gold highlight and it really gives you that really glowy look, which we all want. If you would like a little bit more of a natural highlight, the one that I recommend is from Hourglass. It's the Ambient Powder in the shade Luminous Light. This one is less of a highlight shade, it's more of an inner glow shade. But for a dance competition or for a dance show, I really recommend having a nice bright highlight. It'll really bring out your cheeks on stage. So the last thing that we're gonna do before we move on is we are going to be using the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. This is one of the best setting sprays for long-lasting makeup. I use this at every dance competition, every dance show. Every time that I need my makeup to stay a really long time, this is what I use. It really locks in your makeup, and through sweat, through whatever, it really, really makes your makeup stay. So I'm gonna give it a nice shake and I'm gonna spray this all over my face. After you apply your setting spray, if you find that there are any little wet specks that remain, you can always grab your beauty sponge and just kind of go in really, really gently and kind of blend them back in. Okay, so this is how you contour, bronze, blush, and highlight. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it gave you some tips and tricks that you can use for competition season, for dance show season, really for anything. Make sure to check the description box down below for all the products that I've used. And stay tuned for our future episodes to see how I continue on completing my stage makeup. Thanks, guys. Bye.